In any butterfly-friendly garden, there are two essential aspects. One, you have to have indigenous larval food plants for the butterflies' caterpillars to eat, so they can complete their life cycle. And two, you need flowers that have lots of nectar for the adult butterflies to drink from. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the plant which I think best fulfills the second requirement. That plant is called Pentas, and you can see I'm sitting next to some here. Now, larval food plants are the more complicated aspect of a butterfly garden because you need a different plant for each type of butterfly's larvae. So the nectar plants are actually easier because all adult butterflies will generally be able to drink from the same flowers. Now, I have a butterfly flight house, and the primary source of nectar for all of my butterflies is Pentas flowers. And there's a number of reasons for that. Firstly, and most importantly, is that the Pentas flowers actually have nectar available for butterflies. When my dad and I first built this flight house, we planted a whole lot of daisies, but pretty soon we found out that those serve almost no purpose in terms of providing nectar for butterflies. If you think about it, it makes sense. They don't even have a place for large insects like butterflies to stick their proboscis. Pentas, on the other hand, have the perfect tubular structure. And what's more, they have like 20 or 30 of these nectar-rich tubes for every fluorescence. In fact, the flowers are so full of nectar that if you pull one out and dip its end on your tongue, you can even taste the sweetness. The second huge advantage is that, certainly in our beautiful climate here in Zimbabwe, Pentas flowers all year round. I know in colder countries they go dormant in winter, but they'll still be in full bloom for much longer than most other flowers. This ensures that all year round you have nectar available in your garden for adult butterflies to drink. There are a few flowers like kalanchoe which I would argue are even better nectar sources than Pentas, but they only flower for a few weeks each year, so you'll need Pentas to provide food for the rest of the month. Now, there is a trick to ensuring your Pentas are flowering at all times. You see, individual Pentas bushes can grow relatively tall, and eventually they get a bit too heavy and start collapsing under their own weight. They also tend to have fewer flowers when they get to this size. Fortunately, they love being pruned right back to about 20 centimeters above the ground. This will allow them to grow new leaves and put out an entirely fresh flush of flowers. Where the trick comes in is that there are a few weeks after pruning where the bush won't have grown new flowers yet. So you have to stagger your pruning of different bushes to ensure that at any one time, you always have some flowers ready for any hungry butterflies passing through your garden. And that brings me on to the third reason that I love Pentas. They're very easy to grow from cuttings. Every time you prune a Pentas bush right back, don't waste any of the branches on the compost. Cut them into pieces with one node to go below the soil and pull the leaves off this node. Trim the leaves off another node to remain above the soil so they have very small surface area and they don't lose so much water. To start with, I tried growing these cuttings in topsoil, but very few took root. The better way to grow them is in pure river sand. After a few weeks, check the cuttings, and any that have developed roots can be transferred to sleeves or pots with topsoil. In this way, even if you only start with a few Pentas bushes, you can multiply them until there are bounteous flowers dripping with nectar at all times of year for the butterflies. Admittedly, Pentas are not indigenous to southern Africa, but I think it's still worth growing these beautiful plants in a butterfly garden, perhaps restricted to an exotics area. It is, of course, essential to stick mostly to indigenous plants when thinking of larval food plants for the caterpillars to feed on. And you'll need more different types of plants to be suitable for all our different species of butterfly in that regard. But that's a topic for another day. As a spoiler, Pentas leaves themselves actually feed the larvae of a few different hawk moth species, including a pretty little one called Temnora pseudopilus, which you can see here. Nectar plants are only just the start of a butterfly garden. They only attract adult butterflies, but they are nevertheless essential. Hopefully I'll be back soon to share with you some of the best larval food plants to plant in your butterfly gardens too. For now, please do like this video, leave a comment down below, perhaps with the name of another one of your favorite butterfly nectar plants, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any future videos on our wonderful fluttering friends. If you enjoyed this, click the link here to watch my previous video on conserving these amazing creatures and an explanation of their life cycle.